So now she's anticipating, well, what's going to happen, what's going to be different. That brings newness into the relationship. Then we have outside of the bedroom sex, because it's okay to have sex outside of your bedroom. And the church went silent. Amen. You can have sex on the couch in the living room. You can have sex outside on the back porch. You can have sex in the car. You can have sex in the beach. You can have, I mean, you don't want to expose yourself and participate in voyeurism where now the public is seeing you. But if you're in a safe environment and you're thinking about your partner, you want to bring safety and protection and seclusion into it. But just having sex in a different environment brings newness into the relationship. Because if the only thing we do is have sex on this bed, how about sex on the floor? How about get some sex furniture that changes the positions, that changes the styles, that changes things up? Bring newness into your relationship because it works. We have some. That's real talk. You can go to liberator.com. They should be giving me commission. Liberator.com. You can get some great sex furniture. Then we have playing sexual games because listen, you can engage in being sexual without having sex. But if you truly are sexual, a lot of times it will result in sex. So bringing sex games in, whatever that may be. Like, for instance, a game you could play is called, I don't know what it's called, but it's like you take a flashlight, you go under the covers, it's pitch black, and wherever I point the light to is what you have to focus on for a minute. And then after that minute's up, I'll point to a different part of my body with the flashlight. So we're not
communicating. Let me say something there. Okay, that's our little game, and it sounds really corny. But the point is that you can create the games that you want to create and stop just being so, much of a prude and so scary. Right. Sex is given to married people. It's ours. It's ours to please one another, to procreate, to have fun, to enjoy one another. It's ours. So why don't we own it? Why are the single people owning it when it belongs to us? So the whole point of it is, let's not say everybody get under the blanket with a flashlight, but do that if you want to. But come up with things that are exciting to you. I'm not really into having sex outside. That's just not my thing. He likes that, and once in a while I'll do that. But the point is what are you interested in doing? Maybe furniture is not for you. Maybe a game is for you. Maybe whatever it is. Just own it and don't feel scary because we're Christians and love God that we can't have fun in the bedroom with our spouses. It belongs to us. Does it not? Yes. Okay.
One of the things that I was reading an article about how actually massaging your husband's scrotums is good for some form of cancer preventing.
That's right. That's
so
true.
So I embrace that. When I read that. So I'm just saying about the healthy part of it. We want to contribute to the longevity of life. We have to embrace that.
Excellent point. So yeah, bringing newness in. Bringing newness in can be, listen, one of the 7 days that we have is role play sex. Role play sex. Get an outfit. Be the dominatrix. Be the police officer, right? Be the police officer, the person you're pulling over. Get some handcuffs. Whatever works for you. The point is this. You can't be too rigid. Okay? And a lot of times people come into relationships with issues from their past. Maybe it's abuse, right? Maybe they've been raped, maybe they've been molested, maybe they have a promiscuous past, or maybe they've been taught good girls don't do this, or men really don't do that, whatever it is. But you have to unlearn all that you have learned and re-educate yourself and do what is best for the relationship. Listen to me well. Listen to me well. Listen to what I'm about to say. A lot of times we have convictions, right, that are based upon our core, deeply embedded belief system, but those convictions don't always work for our relationship. Sometimes they work against our relationship. I remember being on Facebook about a month ago, and I posted something that was powerful, and it said, if you're in a miserable marriage and you're just not getting along, and you're just ready to call it quits, you might as well just go ahead and get the divorce. I said, because in the beginning of our relationship, that's exactly what I did. I got a divorce. But I didn't divorce myself from my wife, I divorced me from myself. And when I gave up my own negative thinking, when I gave up my own negative communication patterns, when I gave up those belief systems that did not work for my marriage, and when I divorced myself from myself, it allowed me to come closer to my spouse so I wouldn't have to divorce my spouse. So everyone should go through a divorce within yourself. Does that make sense? So as it relates to your sexuality, it is so vitally important to have those conversations. Now the question becomes, because we're talking about sexual conversations and pillow talk and things of that nature, it is highly recommended, and we can kind of govern you through this because we have materials that we've actually created that really guide that type of conversation, where you do want to know, how do you feel about this? What are your thoughts about that? We actually have a book that we wrote called The 7 Days of Extraordinary Sex, How to Have a Successful Marriage. At the back of the book, we have 50 questions. There are 50 sex questions that you should ask your partner. All right? So I would encourage you all to get the book, go to the back, and take the time to discuss those questions. Now, this is the way in which we did it. Because the question is, what about timing and place and things of that nature? I think the best time to discuss sex is either before or after sex. You know, whether you're in the bed or the privacy of your home, maybe the lights are out. And so when we went through these questions, I actually took my phone and recorded our conversation so that I could go back to it. A lot of times you talk about things and retain 10% of what you hear. This was important to me. I wanted to know my wife sexually. Now think about that. Think about what I just said. I've been married for 12 years, but I wanted to know my wife sexually, intellectually, sexually. So I recorded the conversation. It lasted about 40, 45 minutes, and we went back and forth. I went through her 50 questions first, and she just answered them. I wasn't trying to take notes because it was recorded. Then I answered those questions. It was recorded. And so after the recording, I began to listen again and write those things down. That became my cheat sheet. Those became my cliff notes. See, one of the things that we believe in is taking the time to study your partner. The reason why there's so many issues and so much conflict is because we don't truly know who our partners are. And we have made it our assignment to win our partners over into our way of thinking, into our way of being, and we've become weekend warriors. I'm going to fix my mate. That's our objective. And when you try to do that, you're stripping them of who they ultimately are. But their individuality, their uniqueness, their difference can be a blessing to the relationship. So by asking the 50 sex questions, you really begin to know who, how, and most importantly, why. Because if you understand the why for certain things, it gives you a better appreciation about your partner, number one. Or it says, wow, now you can begin to connect the dots. Well, the reason why you believe that way or do this is because of that, and that's because of this. And is it okay to just be who you are if it doesn't work? No. Now that you understand the why, you can begin to work with your partner to overcome those issues, creating safety and comfort in the relationship, because what I have found through counseling is that one of women's most important emotional needs is safety and security. And when a woman can feel safe with her husband, she will open up her world to him. Not just sexually, but in every area of life. Safety and protection. A lot of us get married as men. We don't know. We don't always know. It took me time to understand what that meant or how to play that out in the relationship. So anyway, 50 sex questions. We have them for you. That's the pillow talk that you want to have. Record the conversation. Go back. Rewrite the notes. I have something. I actually have a notebook. I do. And I write in it. And it's called the Book of Danielle. Because I want to know Danielle. I want to get my PhD in Danielle. I want to know what makes her tick. I want to know what pisses her off. I want to know what brings joy and life to her. And I always, from time to time, go back and look at my Book of Danielle. Because sometimes you need to be reminded. So as it relates to sexuality, that's important. Maybe you need to switch up your style. Okay? Maybe taking the soft, timid approach is good, but not every time. Maybe sometimes you want to be more energetic. You want to be more passionate. You know, you just want to switch things up so that she and he are always in anticipation of what is to come next. That is how you bring newness into your relationship. Does that make sense? It's quiet in here because I guess
What's the name of the book again?
The name of the book is The 7 Days of Extraordinary Sex, and we're going to talk about it because I want each and every one of you to get it, and I'll show you how by the end of the day. Okay? Also, on that note, 2 books that we wrote that we actually have a copy of that is important for every man and woman. We have 101 Ways to Love My Wife, and husband, and 101 Ways to Love My Wife. Okay? Excellent, excellent tips. Now, this is relevant because of something I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But getting back to the marital sex patterns, you have duty sex, you have shoe sex, and then you have no sex. How many know that that's real?
Yes.
Now, no sex can either literally mean absolutely no sex, or people who fall into a pattern where statistically they're averaging about 1 sexual experience a month, 10 times to 12 times a year. That category or classification is in the no sex category. There's just nothing there. And unfortunately, there are many couples who are suffering from that today. Okay? So if that's you, you can talk about that. The next category is what we call